What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel and the podcast. Listen, I watched the latest episode of the Real Housewives of Potomac yesterday, and honestly, I am drained. I actually was sick yesterday, but the show didn't make me sick, but it did not help me feel any better. Honestly, between the back and forth gossip, the fakeness, the just the whole thing, it was just exhausting. And even though this came out last week, I didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the Stacey contract allegedly with TJ was exposed. And this show, honestly, is officially, to me, turned into a masterclass in mean girl energy. So let's talk about it. Thanks for stopping by the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the real of reality TV.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice.
So yeah, even though I don't do reality show reviews, this is not a review, but I'm just sharing my thoughts about what I saw because I literally was exhausted watching this episode yesterday. The Giselle stirring the pot, them going on another trip, her supposedly being the one who curated and put the trip together, which we know that never happens. It's all production. These chicks ain't paying for any of this stuff, right? But all of the girls were supposed to have robes and little bags with their initials monogrammed on them or the name or whatever. And Stacy's was not. Hers was just blank. And Giselle says, Stacy, I like Stacy. Even though I'm exhausted with the show, I like Stacy. And she, she has, I feel like, a upbeat attitude about things that she should really be offended by, but she just takes it to the hip and she keeps on moving. And she confronted Giselle and asked her the question, well, why didn't I have a greeting card written out for me? Why wasn't my name on my roll? Why wasn't my initials on my little bag? And Giselle gives the excuse and reason as well, because I don't really know who you really are. We don't really know who Giselle is. Giselle is just this nasty former first lady of a church, okay? Who I believe has always been this way. Her nastiness, it just goes without saying. It just emanates from her pores. She is a nasty mean girl. And Ashley and those two being on the same team, it goes well together because they're both nasty and they both are, playing games and all of this back and forth and she said this and you said this about me and you said that I was rude and yeah, you were rude. You were. Wendy defending herself and calling others out and just seeing all of this play out on the show when we know in real time her and her husband are under these fraud allegations and possibly maybe if they are convicted deported. That's the news right now. So it's kind of sad watching this in real time, but to see how she is on the show, even though a lot of people still love her, and that's fine. I don't dislike the woman. I just feel that with her and her husband, if they really did do this stuff, and I kind of believe that they did, but allegedly, I will say that it's asinine because they know better than to do something like this. But because of the pressure of being on the show and wanting the attention and yeah, the check, it's just sad to watch this in real time. But it's giving me girl high school reunion with designer bags, energy. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. I'm just feeling like the Real Housewives of Potomac, it's definitely less housewives and more this house drama hour. It was in the beginning a little bit over the top and frivolous for sure with the way Karen and Giselle were and Charisse at the time, she was one of the housewives. It was definitely a little bit over the top, but also it was still, I feel like, in that housewives vibe. And now when the previews for the show was coming out before the Real Housewives of Potomac new season aired, it was like they were showing clips of the show with some music talking about baddies. So like what is this now? Like what really are we watching? And so it's honestly like I don't watch the shows on Zeus. I don't have the Zeus app, but they show the clips of the baddies and all that other stuff. It's almost like an elevated level of baddies without the physical violence. You talked about me. You talked about me. You said this about me. You said I was rude. I heard that you said this. She told me that you said that. How old are these women? And yeah, some people may say, well, you're watching it. I'm not watching it with bated breath, like rubbing my palms together saying, oh, that comes on tonight. I watch it when I watch it. And it's honestly kind of, at this point, somewhat of an addiction, but I wouldn't even really call it that because I can go without it. I don't have to watch The Housewives. I don't. And I'm honestly getting to the point where I'm kind of tired of it because it's been so long. This is, I believe, what, season 10 of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Atlanta's about to go on season 17. It's like, how much longer is this going to continue? I don't talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County, but I have been watching that. And if you watch that, you will see the drama that's going on over there. And if you do watch that, let me know in the comments. But I'm saying it's just really ridiculous. Tamara screaming and yelling in people's faces, her and Gretchen going back and forth with each other, all of the other shenanigans that's going on. It's just like, what are we really watching? And with all the stuff that's going on in the real world, it's kind of hard for me to justify making this a priority. Yeah, I'll still watch it probably, but kudos to the people who do this for a living where they're literally doing these reviews of these shows. It has to be draining and exhausting on your energy. I don't know how you do it. So I will just say kudos to you because I couldn't. But we got to talk about these too because when I heard this news the end part of last week, I knew something was fishy about it. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about this so-called contract. Now, the thing about it is, this was when she was supposedly dating this guy, and people had questions then. What in the world does she see in this dude? And he clearly doesn't look like he even sees it for her, and not just because it's her, but because she's a woman. That's what a lot of people were feeling like. So the fact that people had questions about the situation, so-called relationship then, and then now and they want to be on TJ's side to say, "Oh yeah, you paid him to be your boyfriend." I said all along, if there is some sort of agreement, she probably was saying, "Yeah, I would give you a stipend or pay you or whatever the phrase was to appear on the show, not to be her man, not to be her boyfriend, not to be like the alleged situation that people were claiming when Kenya was paying Walter and so-called paying men to date her just for the sake of a storyline to be on the show. I don't believe that was ever the case. She's a beautiful woman. Just, I mean, Kenya is as well. I'm not saying she's not. But why in the world would she be paying out of all the people in the world this clown to be her boyfriend? No, like I said, I believe it was because if she did have an agreement with him, it was to appear because he doesn't live there and it would be requiring travel and also for him to be filmed. And not everybody wants to be on TV. Hell, what's the chick Kiana? Her then fiance, he didn't want to be on the show and he barely was. And then they broke up for a while and then they got back together. Yeah, not everybody wants to be on TV. And I understand that. But when this news came out that this contract was exposed, I said, I'll believe it when a court says that is real. So let's just get into this contract. So you see the alleged contract here, and it says at the top, RHOP contract. And it's just one page, a few lines. And I'm not saying a contract has to be a bunch of pages, and I'm not saying it has to be a book, but it's one page, it's a few lines, and it's just her name and her signature and date. And it says, I, Stacey D. Rusch, willingly enter this agreement with Thomas Anthony Jones Jr. as an equal partner and cast member of Bravo TV's Real Housewives of Potomac, produced by Truly Original and NBC Universal Media LLC. I agree that Thomas Anthony Jones Jr. is entitled to 50% of my total salary earned as compensation for my appearance for the 2024 season as a cast member, and each season I appear as a cast member on RHOP thereafter. Really? This contract shall automatically renew each season and remain in effect until my employment as a cast member of RHOP ends or a mutually agreed time. First of all, she's an independent contractor. None of these people are actually employees. You may say, technically they're employed, but literally they're not. They are casted by the production company on Bravo TV, and they are independent contractors. They're not employees. They have to pay their own taxes, none of that. You know what I mean? So it's like for a so called contract, his name isn't on there, it's just her name. And then it says for each season she appears as a cast member. What if she's not involved with him as a cast member every season moving forward that she's on the show? And we clearly see that that is the situation now. So all of a sudden, this contract appears. When I heard this and then I saw this, I called BS on it. It's my personal opinion. Some people were saying that it was giving them Cynthia Bailey friendship contract vibes, and I thought that was funny. But just when I heard about it, to me, before I even saw it, I just called some BS on it. And then when I saw it, I said, yeah, this is some BS. I don't see anything like this holding up in court. And then I don't believe that she would even agree to doing something like that. So to me, it just seems like he or somebody closely connected to him made this crap up to put it out there. And why would you expose it on social media? If you filed a lawsuit against her allegedly, like they were talking about in a previous episode, then why would you expose this on social media? Why not take it to a court of law? Period. Because I believe it's fake. I don't think that girl agreed to do anything like this with that clown, and I believe he's mad, and it is possible that she agreed to pay him money to appear. I don't believe she paid him to be in a relationship with him or to fake being in a relationship with him, but I also just I don't believe that that woman did anything like that in contract form, and especially in that so-called contract. To me, it's fake, and I call BS on it. I don't believe it at all. So I just wanted to talk about those things. You guys let me know what you thought about this most recent episode of The Real Housewives of Potomac. And also let me know what you think about this so-called contract between TJ and Stacy that was revealed.
Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.